my overall take is
do you want to talk about the trade scenarios or what you think could potentially happen with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it immediately comes out. Phoenix and Miami are two of the teams on his list. I'd like to know what this list is. I also find it interesting you've got a list of teams when you have 4 years left on your deal, but, that's beside the point.
I mean, I think at first, we're Miami Heat fans, so we're like, oh, sweet, all right, okay. But at the same time, I think we're kind of, and you've been talking about this, I don't see, there's only a couple teams that I think have the assets because, Rudy Gobert got five picks.
Yeah.
So, and he's not, Rudy Gobert, I mean, he's good, but he's not, so it's kind of like, well, Durant, I mean, you're going to have to get three, and I've seen a report that it was 3 first-round picks and an all-star. I think it's got to be more than that. I think it's got to be an all-star and 4 or 5 picks for Durant. So I just don't see, the Heat don't have, first of all, they don't have an all-star that they're going to trade. I mean, we can go over they can't trade Bam Adebayo because of that rule because he's on a rookie extension and Ben Simmons is on a rookie extension, so you can't have two of those guys on the same team or, So, I don't see, I think people have been talking about New Orleans and they've been talking about Toronto because they have the assets.
Right.
So that's what's kind of interesting to me. It's well, is Durant going to want to play in some of these other places? Because if you're the Nets, you can't just get 2 picks and a couple of rotation guys. You need more than that if you're going to trade Kevin Durant away with 4 years left on his contract.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting about the way the NBA is now, right? Because remember, there was a period when LeBron did the decision and then went to Miami. There was a period there where, there were always 5 or 6 teams with cap space available. There were always, you know what I mean? There were always teams like there was always the Knicks. There was always Chicago for a while. There were Dallas, Orlando. There were always teams that were oh no, we're just going to wait for the next superstar. That was kind of the way teams operated, 5, 6 years ago, right? But now it tells you how much more talent there is in the NBA now because teams don't do that. There aren't 5 or 6 teams with just cap space available, just waiting for the next superstar. Right? Which is why the trade packages that we're talking about are just substandard to what Kevin Durant is really worth on the open market. Right? There just aren't that many teams who have the assets. And the only reason that a team like New Orleans has all that stuff is because they just did this with Anthony Davis. They were on the other side of it, the same side that Brooklyn's on, where they're all right, we'll wait and then we'll make a mega deal for our best superstar player. And so, I think it's going to be really hard. I think it's come out recently, it's difficult for Miami because of the Bam thing. It's difficult for Phoenix because they can't just directly sign and trade DeAndre Ayton to Brooklyn because that puts Brooklyn over the hard cap. When you do a sign and trade, there's hard cap rules or whatever. So they can't even, that deal is still hard to do. So for Miami and Phoenix, they're going to have to get other teams involved. It's going to be really complicated for them to do. And then I don't know where Kevin Durant is willing to go and not willing to go. The teams that we're talking about, and if you just go with the 4 we've mentioned so far, Miami, Phoenix, New Orleans, and Toronto, they all have solid general manager front office situations, and they're not going to just make a panic move to try to get this guy. They're going to hold out for the best deal. And so a lot of this is going to come down to, one of the things that I feel like we need to get off the table, if you're hearing this from people, that people need to stop saying is, well, the Brooklyn doesn't have to trade him. They can hold on, they can hold on to him. They can say, you got 4 years left and, we're going to hang on to you or we're going to trade you wherever we get the best deal. Okay. We need to stop. That's just complete bullshit. Okay. If Durant doesn't want to go there, nobody's giving up stuff to get him. So this is a three-part thing here. Brooklyn, Kevin Durant, and the other team you want to trade him to. They're going to have to, all 3 of them, get on the same page and agree to this. This isn't going to be, this isn't a situation, oh, well, we'll get the best package from Orlando, so we'll trade him there. Okay.
No.
That's not going to, it's not going to work. Okay. I know people want to act like, these players shouldn't have this much power, but they do. We have to acknowledge that fact. They just do. That's just the way it works. So I think this may drag on a while. Bill Simmons is saying he thinks Durant is going to start the season with Brooklyn.
See, that's something I'm just because as I've read more about this or looked at more about this, I'm just like, I kind of feel like that's where we're headed because I saw like Bobby Marks was on ESPN and he's like doing like let's do a 3-team trade with Brooklyn, Phoenix, and Indiana, and like Indiana gets some stuff, and then like I think they were saying Ayton would go to Indiana. And then they would, Phoenix would get Durant, but then Indiana would get, like, Cam Johnson.
No. Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, and Miles Turner would go to Brooklyn.
Right, okay. Yeah. Right. So, yeah, and then there were draft picks involved, too. So, but it's really confusing, and it's going to take them a while to figure this out. And we'll see. I kind of feel like they may start off the season there because, like, from what I think Stephen A. Smith was saying was Kyrie wants to go to L.A., but, I mean, he's just opted in. So it kind of feels – now, there's been talk a lot the last couple of days that it seems like a Nets trade with the Lakers for Kyrie Irving is moving along, like it may actually happen. We'll see, but it's kind of like, well, maybe he doesn't – maybe he's going to have to play out this year and then become a free agent and then go wherever he wants.
Well, and the thing is, what you would give up for Kyrie Irving is a completely different conversation because Kyrie Irving only has 1 year left. So you're not going to get you're not the amount what Brooklyn would be looking for or possibly able to get for Kyrie is far less than anything Durant.
I mean, it was like Talen Horton-Tucker and like Kendrick Nunn. And then, like, a couple draft picks, like, 4 years from now. And, like, I think the Lakers were even, like, one of the proposed packages was the Lakers even get Durant and Seth Curry or Joe Harris. So.
Yeah, this is a really bad time for Kevin Durant to ask for a trade because when you do it right with free agency, all these new guys get signed. They can't get traded until December. So and by the way, there's no way, I believe, Kevin Durant just figured out he wanted to be traded last week. Like, that to me is complete nonsense. I think he's known this for a month. There's no way I believe, they're not going to give Kyrie an extension. I'm out of here. I don't think it's that simple. I just don't. I believe this stuff is planned in advance. I believe Kevin Durant knew what he was going to do. And I don't understand the logic of doing it this way. So yeah, I think it will get figured out, but it's just going to take these teams. It's going to take some time to get there. But just looking at options, I think if Kevin Durant goes to Phoenix and he's playing with Booker and Chris Paul, that's a really good team. Can they beat, Golden State may be the only team that could beat them.
I have questions about that though, because what you're going to have to give up, are you going to have enough perimeter defense?
Right.
And enough shooting around them to, because, I mean, you can't, like that's the thing, especially when people are talking about the Miami Heat. It's like, oh, well, then they can trade Bam. And I'm like, if you're going to gut your defense right there. I mean, forget offense for Bam. Like, his defense is really what makes him valuable.
Right.
So it's like, you got to have, and we've talked about this before, like in the current NBA, you can't just roll out there. It's just, we got all this talent. Well, no, you need perimeter defense, you need shooting, you need a lot of things to be able to get through the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the only way Phoenix and Miami are very similar. The only way Phoenix does it is if they can keep Booker, if they have Booker and Chris Paul. The only way Miami does it is if they can keep Bam and Jimmy Butler. They're not. These two teams are not. Or two. I don't want to say Phoenix is really well run because they do a lot of. Their owners are pretty much a cheapskate.
Something's going on with their owner.
But, but they also are not going to be stupid. They're not going to just give up one of their best young players for Kevin Durant. And Durant has some things working against him. He's been hurt a lot. He's 16 years into the league. He's not going to be around forever. And so it makes it really hard. So these teams are not going to, I don't know that you're going to get, everybody's talking about, if Gobert got 4 or 5 picks, then Durant should get, I don't know that that's going to be the case. First of all, there aren't too many teams that have that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Number one. and they can even get a hold of it. And once they, this is what the problem in the NFL. Once everybody knows you're going to trade a guy, you're not going to get it the best offer. Baker Mayfield's still available in the NFL because everybody knows they have to get rid of him. So if everybody's going, well, they have to get rid of Durant, no, they're going to get low ball offers. These teams know they have Brooklyn over a barrel. I feel like, 10, 15 years ago, there were always 2 or 3 dumbass GMs that you could get to do whatever you wanted, right? Like they were talking about on Bill Simmons' podcast, like some of the worst trades ever, the James Harden one, the Pau Gasol one, where Pau Gasol goes from Memphis to the Lakers for basically nothing, and they don't even shop him to other teams. Like they don't even try to figure out what his value is. They just give him away. So, yeah. So the next thing,
we'll see what happens. We'll see how late this plays out into the season. I mean, we were texting. If the Heat can go out and get Donovan Mitchell, like, just do that. I mean, because it seems like Utah's trying to rebuild. Are they trying to rebuild around Donovan Mitchell? I don't know, because he's obviously still there, but they got rid of Gobert. Danny Ainge is there. It seems like he's kind of in a mode to tear everything down. Especially if they got rid of Donovan Mitchell, then they're tearing everything down, because, they just got 5 draft picks for Rudy Gobert. But, I kind of like Donovan Mitchell more, especially because maybe you could kind of get a lowball thing, and because it seems like Danny Ainge really wants draft picks and younger players, so maybe Miami could pull that off more, and that would be